So I've given, kind of feels like a lot of talks in the last month or so, um, at this point. And so my talks lately have been about love and waking up to, basically like that we're part of a bigger picture. There's waking up to being here now, and then there's waking up to the, you know, our future and our death and our, potential life after death. So certainly we don't know what happens after death, and we never claim to. And Zen tends to shy away from that kind of talk, that discussion, um, because of that reason, because we don't know, right? And however, I've been introducing it more and more because the reality is that even though we don't know what happens after death, we can still plan, right? We can still vision, and we can still plan just like we are tomorrow. I don't know if I'm going to wake up tomorrow. And yet I'm working hard today to plan for tomorrow that it goes well. So we never wake up and just go, oh, I'm not going to plan for the day. I'm just going to spontaneously be here now all the time. No, it's a combination. We go back and forth. We practice hard to be here now. We practice a lot to settle the mind, let go of the self, to be present in the present moment with no self and no mind. And that's the bulk of the practice. And we have to go back and forth into our planning. We vision. We have intentions. So from a oneness standpoint, or from a, from the oneness standpoint, I'm just here now, and there's no good or bad. And yet, in the relative side, I'm creating a better day than I would if I wasn't. Right? I'm going to try to create a great day. Today is a good day in the midst of no good and no bad. And so this is my choice, to, as a creator, to create my reality. And so I've been encouraging us to look at this dynamic of how we can practice hard to be here now without good and bad, and we can practice hard in the midst of our activity to create goodness, to create the good out of nothing, or to choose good. And not always, right? Good and bad, they rely on each other. Sometimes it's good to choose bad. And that's how I've learned most of my lessons in life, is making bad choices, and then learning from it, then learning that I want to do good. I want a good life. I want to choose to be as proactive as I can to make the most progress I can in my life. So again, there's no progress, nowhere to go, and yet I strive daily to make progress because I can be better. My practice can be better, my life can be better, my relationships, my feelings about myself, my patterns can all be better. And so with that in mind, I wanted to share a few koans from our tradition that reinforce this notion, this aspect of practice. There is karma, and karma assumes that there's consequences, both good and bad. And so from that standpoint, we are working on our karma. We're working on resolving old karma, paying off karmic debts, and we're working on developing good karma to increase our chances of having a better future or a better life after life. And so the first koan is from the transmission of the light. I don't have it online, so I'm just going to read it. So this is a book that's basically describes the awakening or enlightenment experiences of the first, 50 or 100 teachers? So like starting with the Buddha, and then Ananda, and so on, up to Dogen. I think Dogen is the last awakening experience described in this book. And then, of course, all of our ancestors since Dogen have their own stories. But this one really, basically tries to clarify this lineage, the lineage from Buddha to Dogen, which is our lineage. And so it's interesting, right? I knew there had to be something about rebirth or reincarnation here somewhere, right? And so I did look and I found one. And this is about Rahulata. So the 16th patriarch was Venerable Rahulata. He was serving Kanadeva, and when he heard about karmic causes in former lives, he experienced awakening. And so this was his awakening, was waking up to rebirth and reincarnation, and the fact that our karma goes on and it comes from somewhere and it's going to go somewhere. That we're basically just one drop in this huge bucket of flowing water, and it's all connected. So our karma in this life is connected to our karma in our last life, and it will create the karma for our next life. So it's awakening. That's one of the infinite ways to wake up, is to realize, oh, I'm going to die, and my karma will live on, or I'm experiencing karma from my last life. It's a legit wake up. And so this is interesting, right? These stories they're funny, right? Some of them it really ranges. It goes from like kind of very ordinary, normal stuff to like crazy stuff. There's crazy stuff in here, and some of it is in here, right? I'm imagining myself coming in like talking like this, but it's a little funky. And we're like, oh, that's just back in the day. So it's like we just let it go, like, oh, that's whatever they were doing back there is just how it was. Anyway, I will get to it. So let's see. There was a householder named Brahmashudagugana. One day, something resembling a big ear grew on a tree in the garden. It was like a fungus, and its flavor was exceedingly fine. Only the householder, which is interesting because I'll read from the householder koans in a little bit. So Rahulata was a householder. He wasn't like a mendicant, a monk who gave up everything to practice. So he's a householder. Only the householder and his son Rahulata took any of it and ate it. This is the fungus. But whenever they picked some, more grew again. When it was all gone, it regrew, and no one else in the family could see it. At the time, the Venerable Kanadeva knew about causes in their previous lives. He went to their house, where the householder asked about the reasons for the fungus. The Venerable Kanadeva told him, long ago, a monk was given alms by your family. So their family lineage had been very generous with a monk who was begging to practice full time. However, the monk had not completely opened the eye of the way and consumed their alms of the faithful in vain. So basically, it's a monk who he wasn't sincere, he wasn't really practicing, he wasn't really waking up, but he was enjoying the alms, he was loving the free food, and basically took advantage of it and wasn't practicing diligently or sincerely. And so when he died, he became a tree fungus as recompense. And he said, since only you and your son have made offerings with pure hearts, you have been able to eat the fungus while others have not. Right? So can you imagine if I came here and I said, hey, there's a fungus on the tree, and it's because of the monks who lived here and before we got here were no good, and so now they're the fungus on the tree. And if you're of a pure heart, then you can digest that. You'd be like, no, thank you. That's too crazy. So it's odd, right? It's odd. But it points to this sort of universal understanding of this karmic cycle, that karma has a real cycle and a real flow. And if you don't do, if you don't do good, then you're vulnerable to being reborn. I think this is considered rebirth. There's rebirth and reincarnation. Rebirth is like there's a flow to our spiritual evolution, but it's not intentional yet. It's like if I haven't woken up and I'm just kind of living however it goes, I don't know what happens after life and I don't care, I'm just kind of doing my thing, I will be reborn, but it's going to be like sort of up to the universe. It's just kind of, could be, it's not random because it's a part of a karmic flow, but it's not intentional. So it's just kind of up to the gods or the spirits or the universe to manifest that. Whereas reincarnation is once we've woken up and we have a sense of karmic rebirth, and then we create an intention to be reborn, then we can. And that's really how the Tibetans practice, with this understanding that I'm practicing partially to wake up to my karmic waking up to my karma, and then I can use that waking up to create an intentional flow of my karma. So this being reborn as a fungus is what I consider rebirth. It's sort of the natural cause and effect of the energy we create will live on in various ways. And this is really what I've woken up to recently in the last 6 months. I really had a waking up to this karmic flow, and I realized that I went through a really tough life experience about 6 years ago. It just about killed me. I just felt my whole life fell apart, and I became bitter. And I've been bitter for years since then and trying to recover my life. Anyway, I've been putting a tremendous amount of negative energy into my space. Being negative, being bitter, cussing a lot at my own, just in my environment, when things aren't going right or when I'm frustrated. So I have anger issues already. So the bitterness on top of that just led me to be spewing negative energy. And man, I just was like, and things weren't going well, right? Things went worse and worse. And so it was really a downward spiral. And I finally started to heal from this and woke up to like, whoa, I got to turn this around. I realize now, like if I died right now, I would be the fungus under the house this negative, like angry energy of bitterness. And boy, man, that's not what I want, right? I really want to thrive spiritually, and I want to help others. So I started turning it around, and I've really made a big change in my life over the past few months. Being more positive, giving more love. Hence, my love series of talks, right, is coming out of this. I'm just excited. I'm really excited again about life and about how much love I can give before I die. And so, loving my environment, just loving being here, even if it's uncomfortable, or even if the thing breaks or the thing's not working. I'm like, I love it. I love it even though it's broken. I love it even when it's not working. I love it when I'm upset and frustrated. I can still bring that love. And that's really just changed my life so much lately. And so I'm inspired, right? And I'm inspired by this, right? Don't become the fungus. Be the one who gets to eat the fungus. So weird. Okay, and so it goes on a little bit. It says, don't you see, you should not say that this story is about sentient beings or insentient beings, nor should you think about such things as karmic results as environment or karmic results as bodily form. A monk in a former life became a tree fungus in the present life. When he became a tree fungus, he didn't know I was a monk. I was manifested as one of the myriad things. Though you are now sentient and possess some awareness and can discriminate between pain and pleasure, you are no different from a tree fungus. Why this ignorance, not knowing that a tree fungus is you? And the two kinds of karmic result mentioned above as separate things. Do not be vainly proud of assuming the appearance of a monk, and do not deludedly stop at home departure. So it's really, it's an impetus to practice harder and keep going, never settle for, oh, I look like a monk, or I'm practicing on the surface. That's not going to cut it. It's saying go deeper, keep going deeper, practice harder. And recognize that I am the tree fungus. Like my energy manifested after my life as a tree fungus are the same thing. That there's not a separation between this life and the next life, whatever that is for us. And so this assumes that we know that there's rebirth and reincarnation. That's really part of the teachings of Nirvana. Nirvana, as a core Buddhist teaching, comes from the notion that we can make progress. And so there's a whole thing about, let's see, about this. Let me get to it. I'm going to share. Can I share? Can I share the screen? Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so Nirvana is the end of rebirth. It's a transcendent state in which there's neither suffering nor desire nor sense of self, and subject is released from the effects of karma and the cycle of death and rebirth. So Nirvana is the end of the cycle of rebirth, right? So it assumes that we are on this cycle, right? We're like a treadmill. Every life, right? Every life we make a little progress and we learn a new lesson. And then the next life, we learn more and we build on that and we build on it and we make spiritual evolution, which ends in nirvana. And then at some point, we're like free from this cycle, and then we can basically be, whatever it is, right? Celestial beings or spiritual, you know, something where we're not sort of having to come back to learn new lessons, whatever that is. But it's an assumption. It's the assumption of this path, is that is the deal. That's the deal, is that we are on this cycle of death and rebirth, and nirvana is our way, is the pinnacle of that. And so the Tibetans work on this, specifically a lot. And so how to reach nirvana, they go into it this is a kind of how to attain nirvana for 1995. So there's two, right? There's three different aspects of this, and one is following the Eightfold Path. I'm not going to go into that, right? But that's the first step, is following those 8 steps. And so if we follow these steps on our daily basis, if we meditate, we try to see clearly, we have the right intentions, we speak the right words, like I was saying, like not cussing at my desk all day, every day, or my car dashboard, but saying I love you, giving love, having the right action, right livelihood, practicing right effort, mindfulness, focus, concentration. Okay, so part 2 is this, what they're calling metta. Basically, all my talk about love, I realized yesterday, I've just reinvented metta. Basically what I realized. I was like, this can't be new, right? Love is there, but they call it metta, and I kind of thought metta was different, right? And I do think it's different. It is a little different from what I'm talking about and suggesting. What I'm suggesting is a real energy practice, more like Qigong. And it's developing the energy, and it's learning to use it so I use it to break through my anxiety. I use it to push through fear. I use it to work on resentments. So I have specific things that I'm using love to really make headway with, to push through, sort of forging through the stuck places, which is a little different, I think, than the metta. But it's similar. It's almost, I would have to do a little study, on my own to kind of get into what that real differences are, what I'm working on. But so metta, giving love, right? It's practice loving kindness is the first step of the second part. And they give this little thing, right? Which is, right? Think of somebody you don't like and then send love. Or think of a resentment and send love. And I love this, and I would like to do a little 1-minute thing with us today where everybody can experience this. And how I've been working on it is I feel something that I love, right? Feel something that I really love. And I kind of what comes to mind is like a baby bird that I've nursed back to health. And it's become strong enough and it's ready to fly away. And so I'm put all my love and connection into it, and now I'm letting it go and I'm sending it out into the world, and I'm just wishing the best for you, whatever your best and highest possible evolution or spiritual growth is. I want that for you from a place of objective or unconditional love, whatever that is. It's like a baby bird, and then letting it go. Okay, so affirm and uplift others. Treat people with compassion. Be mindful. Okay, and then there's 3. So I'm not going to go fully into that, right? I'm just giving you a glimpse of what's here and what's available. for us to learn from and practice with. It's incredibly powerful, right? It's very simple, yet I'm finding it's the most powerful practice for me to be able to turn my life around and turn my karma around. And so let's see, where am I at? Yeah, so there's rebirth and how to reach nirvana. And as a side note, I think of karma as the letter U, right? It's like a boomerang. It's like whatever I put out there is going to come back to me. So I put it out and it comes back. It's kind of a U shape. It's maybe more of a circle. But I like to think of it as a U. And so I think of it right, this is me. This is just things I do for fun, which is like I've turned you into karma. And so whenever I talk to people and I'm saying, oh, thank you. In my mind, I'm thanking you in a relative way, but I'm thanking karma, the karmic you, in an absolute way. Like, thank you, karma. Thank you, inner universe, for sending back the karma that I put out there. So I'm thanking you all the time, but you in the sense of karma. Right? It's just a kind of a technique I use, which I do with lots of different things in that way. And it helps me, right? It kind of keeps it helps me remember, oh, you. And then I have another thing for me. Me means two different things that are like kind of the opposite. And so as a reference point. So the second koan is so that Rahulata is from the sort of the beginning of our lineage. So now like 1,000 years later is the koan Hakujo's fox. And I won't go into too much depth because we're already at 11:35. So I'm going to cut it a little short. I'm just going to explain it. I'm not going to go into that. But Hakujo was a fox, and he would show up at the priestly ceremonies. So there's monks up in the mountains, and they're practicing and doing their monastic thing, and the fox would show up at their ceremonies. And after a while, the teacher stopped and talked to him, and basically he was in the form of a person or a priest at that point. And he said, "What's up with you?" And he said, back in, many lifetimes ago, I was awakened. So part of the Nirvana definition is that when you wake up and you're free from karma. You become free from karma once you're awakened, which isn't exactly true. It's not as simple as that. Anyway, so he misunderstood that, and he thought, oh, an enlightened person is not subject to the laws of karma. I mean, an enlightened person is free from karma. And he was wrong. And so he was reborn into the life of a fox for 500 lifetimes. And so that's right. So here he is. He's asking the priest, the teacher, now, can you help me wake up, or wake up out of this, or wake up to the next level, or snap me out of this stuck karmic cycle? And the teacher said that an enlightened person is not free from karma. And so with those words, he was awakened. And he was able to move on and keep making progress in his karmic cycles. So That's the short version of that koan. And so moving forward to the householder koan, that we've studied today, there's a koan that reflects this, this teaching. Unripe fruit. It's under the section of the householder koans of loss, illness, old age, and death. Robin, unripe fruit. If you've really lived, then you've already died many times. Tick tock, 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 tick tock. Now we need a tick tock dance for this. Why does the fruit fall from the tree before it has ripened? Our time seems to come whether we're ready for it or not. Whether I'm 18 or 80, am I ever really ready? For that matter, am I ever really ripe? What does ripe feel like? Is it that I've fulfilled all my dreams? Is it that I've lived a happy life? Is it that I've aged gracefully with a loving family beside me? Is it that the promises of my birth have all been creatively and joyously fulfilled? Well, it's a sad day when someone tells me that he or she feels he hasn't really lived, that his life was full of obstructions, his parents, his upbringing, failures at work, troubles at home, so many unfulfilled promises, or when someone belittles life generally. Look at what has happened to this country, or the world. The world sucks. Everything sucks. It's easy to talk like that when we do hear so many painful things and so much suffering. We can now see live, right? We can see it's happening live. And so it is painful to be in that space, and it is sad. It is sad when everybody's talking that way. And the alternative is what I'm suggesting, is that we create our life, we create our reality. So if I can say, oh, look what the world's come to, I can just as easily say, oh my gosh, I'm so excited about where the world is going. Whether I believe that fully or not really isn't the point. It's like the more I say it, the more I do believe it, and the more I see the reflection of that. What would it take to fully accept how our life has unfolded and live it in contentment? So this point they're making in this koan, that the koan is making, is a little different than the point I'm making, but they overlap. So it's like, just basically be happy with what we have. Don't try to spin it in a negative way. Be fully in acceptance of what is, of what my life is. Like I mentioned in a talk before, it's like, yeah, I wake up to my crappy life and I'm happier with my crappy life. That's different than I'm waking up to my future, to my amazing future, my incredible future, my nice future, whatever feels right for us to imagine. We can wake up to this potential that does become reality. As Ben Connolly writes, countless unfathomable things are out of your control, but you always have the opportunity to give your best intention at this moment, and thus plant the seeds of happiness, kindness, and well-being for all things. We can complain and grieve, we can spend our days in regret, or we can appreciate this unbelievably rare opportunity given us through birth, the result of innumerable events and processes unfolding over billions of years. Doesn't contemplating this just a little bit fill you with wonder, humbling and liberating all at the same time? Working diligently with this body, with our life as it is, can we do our best? What regrets about the past do you have? Do you think you've wasted your life? Living your short lifespan with fullness and appreciation, moment by moment. Is there waste or not? Okay. Okay. So a couple of thoughts I want to leave us with. One is this visual. I just imagine, right? We are always generating energy, like nonstop. It's what we do. We are always bringing energy and we're emitting it and exuding it. And so I imagine it kind of like a fog machine, right? Imagine we have this backpack and this kind of like a leaf blower, but it's blowing our fog, it's blowing our energy. What energy we are carrying, we are like releasing it as we go. So if I'm in my house and I'm like bitter and I'm upset and I'm cussing, I am just like flowing this negative energy. If I go to work at school and I'm like, you kids are terrible, and I'm judging them and I'm putting out this negative energy and I'm overflowing negative energy, the environment becomes negative. And so just to imagine that we are always carrying this machine around that is blowing our energy. We are always emitting it. Right? We like to think I can go walk into a place or a Thanksgiving dinner and I'm not saying the things, I'm not saying, I'm not saying it out loud, and so I'm good, right? I can kind of escape, with my own judgments and my own anger and upsets that I'm not telling you with my mouth. But the energy is there. The energy is still flowing. Everybody feels it. We all know it. We just don't say it. So we've created a culture of, oh, if I don't say it, then it's not true. Well, this is what we're waking up to, is that it is true. Everything we're putting out is always there and it's always real. And we will experience the recycling of that. Don't be the fungus. And so, right, it's part of our so the alternative is flowing love, right? Now, like I'm bringing my generator to work and to practice and to home, and I am flowing love. I am blowing love, right? I'm just as much as I can because I'm trying to make up for a lot of bad karma. So I'm blowing as much love as I can in my environment and to everybody I connect with, and people, everything. So I'm encouraging you all to like imagine yourselves as generators and then choosing to bring a love generator to every event. And then another thing is to imagine that all our interactions we're basic, and it's similar to what I was just saying. We are just moving energy from one place to another. My conversations as an energy, right? I'm bringing you my energy and I'm leaving it with you. And then I'm taking your energy and I'm going somewhere else and I'm going to bring that energy over there. So I'm just moving, we can call it money, we can call it work, we can call it sharing, we can call it giving. But ultimately, it's just this underlying energy we're giving. Me going down the street and offering money or offering food to a homeless person is just a metaphor for that I'm giving my intention. I'm walking over there and I'm sharing my intention here. Just from a pure energy standpoint, it's just the energy of the intention which is going to matter. That's the real exchange. That's the real currency, is our intention and the energy that we're giving it. So to see our whole life as just we're moving energy around and, oh, I get to go gossip with them. I'm going to go give a bunch of negative energy. Or, oh, I get to go help these people, but I don't really like them, so I'm being so generous because I'm just helping them, and they need me more than I need them. Right? These are ways that we interact, and we define and negotiate our lives. And so I'm suggesting that we see that we're just bringing energy. So it doesn't matter, right? I'm not going to go down the street and volunteer to help people and be cussing under my breath the whole time. That's absolutely not going to help them or me. So turning this around, I'm going to bring my good positive intentions and my love to this exchange. And then it doesn't matter if I made $5 or $50. I don't even care because my currency is my energy. And guess what? The universe recycles it brings it back around. The universe brings my energy back around. So I'm not hung up about whether I gave $5 or $10 or 50 or 100, or I lost $50 or 100. Doesn't even matter because that's just a symbol for energy. It's going to come back around. And if somebody gave me some good energy, I better be like, man, I'm going to try to repay that. I'm going to try to give the good energy as part of this. Okay, so that's the bulk of it. I wanted to do 1 minute of practice with us. I'm sorry it's gone so long. But this 1 minute of practice is 1 minute of love practice. And it's similar to metta, but what I'm suggesting we use it for is more for our own anxiety or fear or stuck places that we have, whatever that is. So if you have any anxiety or fear or anger or bitterness or strong desires or addictions, I encourage you to use this for that. And so just for 1 minute, so the first half of the minute, we're going to feel the feeling. And then the last half, the last part, I'm going to ask you to sort of try to use it to make this difference. Use it to apply it to whatever you're struggling with. Okay, so I guess first of all, just think of an issue that you struggle with, whether it's anxiety or anger or sadness or guilt or addiction. So whatever it is for you. And then, so with that in mind, now we're starting the minute now. So try to relax your body into a sense of something we love. So think of something we love, and it's okay to start with anything. It can be a romantic or a platonic thing or person. But this feeling of love, something we really can be like, oh my gosh, I love them, or I love this, or I love doing this. I can feel the love. I can relax a little bit enough to let the love consume me. Whether it's a little baby bird, or a puppy, or a child, or a sibling, or a parent, or a partner, right? It's just love. I just love them, and I want the best for them. I love this, and I want you to fulfill your potential. I want you to fulfill, all your possible spiritual dreams and your karma. I want you to fulfill all of your best possibilities. So I'm feeling this love. And now dropping the story of who it's about, right? So now I'm just feeling the feeling, and I'm not focusing on the person or the thing that I was using to generate that. So now I'm just feeling this unconditional love just to myself, just as a sensation. Okay? And now think of what makes you anxious or fearful or angry or upset. Imagine they're in your face, yelling at you or talking to you or triggering you. And now send that love to whatever it is. I'm sending love to my anxiety. to my fear. I'm giving this unconditional love to my next step I'm taking. I'm giving love to tomorrow. I'm giving it to my anxiety. I'm giving it to my fear. And I love my fear. And I love my anxiety. And I love my pain or my anger. And you can say it out loud. You can say, I love you. And I'm sending you love. Okay, so the 1 minute's up. So, I hope that worked for you. It's a little, right? It's a little tricky. It's a little, right? It's a few variables that it can take some practice to get that. But that's basically the flow that I'm working on a lot. And so, I hope that helps you in some way, or to experience that, or encourages you to be able to make progress with these stuck places. Yeah, and so right, this is what a wonderful practice we have that goes back these thousands of years, where they've been really working on this and trying to understand it, and learning about karma and practicing, and from Rahulata to Hakujo to Robin as a householder. It's here. It's part of who we are, and to practice with this is, I think, very powerful. And so that's all I got for now.